Hello, everyone. Jorge here with Avalos Cloud Native and Nexus Technologies. So this is going to be video number 4 for our topic today about blockchain technologies, and we are focusing on the Hyperledger, and which is basically a private or permission and centralized blockchain, which IBM, Fujitsu, and a few other companies just started a few years ago. So we learned about the components of the Hyperledger Fabric. What are the peers, the components, the order, right? We talk about what was the second topic? It was about membership, identity, and membership service providers. So which you can have a few different MSPs or managed service providers for identity and membership. And so basically, I could be the master, and I can assign you are going to be a membership service provider for this part of the layer, and you're gonna be the one for this. So I can have a few. You can have maybe a different vendors too, all depending of your organization and structure, right? So, and this video now is about the DLT, or distributed ledger technologies. Okay, what is that? So we talk about the blockchain, right? The blockchain is like the network, but there is a component in there, or that part, the DLT, that is basically your accounting book. That is where we keep track of what's going on with the transaction, what's going on with the state of the truth, right? Because that's the concept of blockchain, the truth. Reveal the truth. Tell me the truth. When that happened, what time, who was it? And that's the reason why blockchain technology is taking over in many other decentralized and enterprise companies, right? Enterprise companies are actually moving into blockchain technologies. And I believe, me as a cyber guy, computer, many years in IT, that eventually everything is going to be AI and blockchain. So it's time for you to scale your skills. And if you want to get certified with the Linux Foundation and the Hyperledger Fabric, let me know. And if you want to join our community with Lead Cloud Canada and Cloud Underground, feel free to reach out. We're looking for people, all kinds of people. We can find a spot for you. There is a paid membership, and there is actually a free membership for the qualified members, and much more. So anyways, let's go back to the topic again, video number 4. So what are we talking about now here? We're going to talk about the DLT, right? Distributed Ledger Technologies. That part of the book, the accounting book. Who is keeping track of all these? Well, those components, the components for the Hyperledger Fabric, that's a meaning of this in here, Hyperledger Fabric, distributed ledger components. So the DLT for the Hyperledger have two components, okay? One of them is the word state and the transaction log, right? So the word state is basically, let's say that we have a blockchain and there is millions of transactions happening every day, right? Let's say that I tell everybody, please, no more transactions, don't do anything, right? And they're gonna look at the ledger, at the everything, the state of the ledger, how it looks like right now, right? With no transactions happening, nothing is on the way. That is basically the word state. What you're looking at right now, that's what it is. That's a value. Sorry, that's the pair. That's a value. That's a pair. That's a value, right? And basically, every transaction usually have like a hash, So every transaction relates to each other by the hash of the transaction. So that's how you keep the ledger and the consensus mechanism clean, because every computer is checking between each other. Are we in sync? Are we having consensus? Okay, if we're having consensus, everything should be the same. So, and then you have the word state with everyone to have the same word state. But it's also a transaction law. The transaction law is basically, let's read it here. So to make it easy, it's a collection of blocks containing a sequence of transactions. Transactions include a set of before and after key value pairs. So in transaction law, we have that pair, that value, before the change happened and after the transaction happened. So we can compare where if something really weird happened. Okay, let's see what you have. Let me see what other computers are having when it comes to the DLT or the ledger. right? So do not forget that word state and transaction log are the two components of the DLT for the Hyperledger Fabric, okay? So feel free to pause this, to read this and all that. We can actually read this for a second here. So word state, right? It says, when we look at the word state, or put differently, the current state of the word state, we are looking at the versional list of the key value pairs. The value can be almost anything. It is actually a binary large object, VLOOP or JSON, while the key is a unique identifier. It is typical to represent an asset or a parameter using the key, right? So you have an asset and you have a key. And then to assign an initial value, update it when needed, or even discard in cases where it's not needed anymore. So I guess when you're doing transactions, you can get, you can put, or delete. So there are three components that you do with the ledger, whether we're talking about the word state or the transaction log. We can read a transaction log. It's a collection of blocks containing a sequence of transactions. Transactions include a set of before and after key value pairs. Typically, this is referred to as RW set, read write set. Each block other than the first one, the Genesis, right? Genesis is the first one, which you have nothing to compare of because that was the first transaction. But the second transaction, we have basically a hash of the previous block or the previous transactions. That's what I was talking about. So this implies that each block contains a reference to all previous blocks through the hash of the previous block. So it's going to be hash after hash. Every transaction will have a hash. That hash have to relate to the previous one, right? If you don't have that, it doesn't match with the others, well, that node or validator, someone is trying to do something weird, right? That's why the consensus help you to have security. That's why blockchain. So most of the blockchains out there, you cannot hack. You cannot hack the blockchain. What you can hack is the smart contracts, right? The smart contracts are hackable all the time, right? So the transaction log is immutable, right? Append only order list of all transactions, which is stored on each peer. Each peer, we have a copy of the transaction log, and also each peer will have a copy of how the ledger look at that exact moment without any transaction happening at that moment. All right, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the video. So you learn about components of the blockchain, peers, nodes, orders. You learn about the components for the DLT, word state, transaction load. You learn the concept of blockchain, smart contracts. And so slowly, you're going to ramp up and you're going to say, I can understand this now. I feel the value. I feel the value. No lies, secure, records. Everyone have a copy. Whether you're in centralized or decentralized, you can have a copy. But centralized, you manage a lot of stuff. You control who are your identity providers, who give access to who, whether you're a computer, a user, a company, identity, organization, you name it, you have control. And I think blockchain technologies is the future for enterprise networks. Why? You save money. You don't need a database guy. The blockchain will do it for you. You don't need a network guy. You don't need an endpoint security guy. You don't need a lot of programmers. Once you have something working, it's going to simplify a lot of systems. And anyone can have a blockchain. Anyone can have smart contracts. And I believe that blockchain could be a huge market for individuals like you and me. So I see the mistake that everyone is going into tokenization with Ondo and all the projects for tokenizing and stuff. And we know who are the owners of all these companies, BlackRock, Vanguard. They put money everywhere. So in the end, the same thing that we're doing on Web 2 technology is going to happen on Web 3 because people are not learning, and they just put money there. Of course, they're going to make money, right? Whoever has money to invest, good for you. But we're giving powers to actors that in the end, we know what they do. They just control everything. They own everything. And in the end, we're just puppets. So I know it doesn't sound really friendly, but in reality, we should be learning blockchain. We should be coming with our own ecosystems. And even if we can create something that will benefit people, that would be great too. Like in my idea, I want to deploy many blockchains and those blockchains to be compatible with decentralized blockchain. So everyone can have a marketplace, your own ecosystems. That would be awesome. That's a dream. That's a dream actually, but we'll see what happens. Thank you very much. Bye.